Tony Nunez was doing a lot of the ensemble work, and he used to just roast me all the time for being like a really bad performer, right? There was one rehearsal where he just like cut the ensemble, comes down onto the floor from the stands, and he wrote on a piece of paper.
On this episode, we connect with Jonathan Wicks. Jonathan was a top performer of the activity with an ambition to share knowledge. He's excited to share his experience and tips used by world-class percussion ensembles. All right, here we are with Jonathan Wicks. Excited to have you here, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
When was the last time you played Connect 4?
Honestly, this week. Yeah.
In prep for this?
Not quite. Part of the gig, doing clinical social work. So I do a lot of play therapy. So yeah, I play a lot of Connect 4 actually.
Oh man, I'm nervous.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, man. So the first question's on your first puck right on.
All right, so first question, where were you born? So actually I was born in Pasadena, California, but we lived in Ontario. So I was born in Pasadena, but lived in Ontario basically from the age of 1. So yeah, that's where I was born.
Hell yeah. So what is your favorite part about living in Ontario?
In my childhood, I could think about the block that was just on the other side of our main street. It was just like strawberry fields.
Oh my God.
And so it's weird now to see it's like, neighborhoods and things are developed. It's just so much more developed in that area. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Next question, who got you into the marching world? So it's actually the guy that taught me my sophomore year, Daniel Jervis. He always wore a DCI jacket, Yamato jacket actually. So yeah, I remember asking him about it one day, like what's drum corps?
Nice.
And he explained it, told me, like it's a summer thing, you go on the road, and just encouraged me to check it out. It's definitely just one of those conversations that totally changed the trajectory of my life. So I would give him the credit for that.
So did Daniel Jervis also encourage you to audition for drum corps?
So we have that conversation one day after class. I could see that they basically just did more challenging content, right, than our high school program. So he definitely was like a mentor kind of through that process, and just like someone that I could actually talk to about it, right, that had like the inside scoop.
Yeah.
So yeah, he definitely just like really supported me through the decision to even go out for it. Yeah.
Badass.
Mm-hmm. How many years of drum corps did you march? I did 3 years. Yamato, obviously, was my first group in 04. And then I did 2 years of Pacific Crest, 05, 06. It was great, man. I think for me, I was just excited to do the gig. So yeah, 3 years.
That's great. So what is it like to have lineage to a drum corps that doesn't exist anymore?
Once it folded, I want to say Pulse purchased it. So that was a little interesting for me, I guess, just like walking around the SoCal scene and like, oh, Yamato truck. Like I definitely marched out of that truck. So it was cool. But like I said, there is like history to Yamato in SoCal, especially with like the percussion community. Yeah. So it's cool to know that like I got involved with the group that actually produced a lot of good musicians.
That's
so
awesome.
It's cool. Question, what is your favorite memory of your time in DCI? It was 2006, and we were just putting our drums away, after the show, like normal. And the Phantom quad line came up and they're like, yo, you guys trying to drum? Walk away, find a zone and just set up our quads on stands, and we drummed. It was really interesting seeing like the regional difference in just like quad vocabulary, because they played some stuff that was just like super funky for our hands and vice versa. So that was cool. That was a cool, just like bonding experience with like the quad community. Yeah. Shortly after that, I know they changed the rule where you couldn't even really drum like after shows.
Yeah,
so
shows.
This is kind of how it was back then. Like you could have those cool moments of just connecting and like actually drumming with people.
That's crazy.
So yeah, that was a cool memory.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, it was cool.
So I hear there's a very humbling moment in your drumming career.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about it?
So I didn't end up marching indoor until Pulse. Like that was my first time doing indoor. Tony Nunez was doing a lot of the ensemble work, and he used to just roast me all the time for being like a really bad performer, right? There was one rehearsal where he just like cut the ensemble, comes down onto the floor from the stands, and he wrote on a piece of paper, "Look up," and like literally taped it to my quads and was like, "You're gonna rehearse with this on your drums, like reset." I don't think it helped that I was like so tall, you know, like he would always call that out, like, "Dude, you're a tree. Like everyone can see you on the floor. Like you can't be looking down on your drums." So that was definitely like a crash course to like welcome to indoor, but it's a good one, you know, like it definitely just pointed out a lot of my weaknesses. So it got me stronger.
Hell yeah, dude, that's hilarious.
It was rough. How many years of WGI did you march? I did Pulse 07, 08, 09. My first year, I remember definitely thinking like, what did I get myself into? Like, am I really ready for this? But it was great. Made some lifelong friends, met my wife. So Pulse was a good time for me.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was wild, man. Good times.
So what is the biggest lesson you took from your marching career?
It sounds cliche, but I think just like believing in yourself. There's some times that I reflect on now where it's like I should have pushed myself harder. I think that was a lesson I would take away, is just like believe you can make it happen and like go for it, because the excuses are always going to be there, but those seasons will not, you know. So that was my huge takeaway. How have you stayed involved after aging out? I actually tried to walk away like twice from the activity.
Hey man, you're free on Saturday
Exactly.
evenings.
You get that phone call. Like one year I remember for sure it was PAL, like the first year they came out in 2011. I thought I was done teaching, but got back involved with them. And so I had to learn to accept that, like, dude, I just love drumline. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I love it and I love the community. So that's okay.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. Had to do it to you. Boom.
I didn't even see that diag.
It's all good, man. We'll just keep this rolling though. So I know you teach at Broken City. Do you have any tips for someone auditioning for a group like Broken City?
Yeah, I think definitely, you know, showing up, being a good human, that's huge. We definitely look at the character of a person. You know, when I think about the rest of the staff there and like the people at the top, like Mike and Kevin, being a good human is huge. On the musical side of things, I think just being able to have a great individual sound. We take a lot of risk as far as like the musicianship of Broken City, and being able to do things like on demand, cold attacks, things like that. I think you have to have a really good individual sound, just of the demand of the design. So I think that would be a big thing, even though it seems like obvious, but seriously though, like your individual sound, like it needs to be solid, because that's just, I think, what's required a lot when you look at a lot of the musical demand of the Broken City package.
So many like individualized moments that depend on that person to hold the performance quality for the ensemble at that moment.
Yeah, I would say be a good human and just make sure that you're super comfortable with your individual sound.
So what is a project that you worked on?
The Mandarins chapter in my teaching journey, because I was at Mandarins in 2013, did like one season there. Cool family vibe, like the organization itself, it's very family oriented. But then, you know, going back in 2017 with like a different team and a different mission, you know, to get them into finals, like that was just a cool project to be involved in and know like you're a part of that process, you know, trying to make history with a group. It just felt good to be able to offer something like that for an organization that does so much good itself, I guess. So that was a cool project.
Yeah, that's amazing. What is a project that you're currently working on?
Right now, still definitely building with a rudimental mindset. You know, basically trying to offer our educational experiences for those that want them. And because that's something that I feel like I didn't have growing up, was just like a clear choice on where to go for like private education. So that's definitely a big project that I'm passionate about.
What is something unique about Rudimental Mindset? At
least the way our activity works, you know, you might see each other around at a show or in a lot somewhere, but to really get to sit and like dialogue with someone, it doesn't always happen. So I think the podcast right now is very unique in that kind of sense, where just sitting down and talking and getting to know people that you might have seen before, to get to hear kind of their philosophy and kind of why they approach things the way they do. I think we're trying to bring that unique perspective.
What is your favorite part about Rudimental Mindset?
You know, I think, like I said early on, when thinking about the project, it's like we just wanted to make information accessible. And so to know that there's multiple options and that we're all coming from the same space, but everybody has a different way of doing it. So I like that we're promoting that like collaborative effort of our community. And so I like that we're representative of that.
What has been your favorite episode you've recorded?
So Nick Rundell is definitely, you know, the host of the podcast. So big shout out to him. So every now and then I'll be able to hop on and like co-host with him. And we did an episode with Matt Regwa from Percussion IQ, him and John McQueen, their project. And so it was just really cool to be able to do that with him. Like I marched Pacific Crest with Matt. So we've grown up like in the gig, and we've done a lot of just like outside gig work together through Drumline. So he's definitely just like one of those super close friends. But we've also done a lot of the same work, you know what I mean? He's been at RCC for a handful of years. I've been at Broken City. You know, I started Rudimental Mindset. He started Percussion IQ. So there's been this kind of like parallel journey for us in a lot of ways. And that was cool to be able to sit and have him in that space and just, because I mean, Matt is a genius, you know, so I know that side of Matt, but to be able to like, I guess, shed some light on that for other people, I think was awesome.
What would you say is the future of Rudimental Mindset?
Good question. I mean, it's funny because to me, knowledge is like timeless, right? So all the information we've learned as educators, like that's always going to be there. And I like that. You know, I always want to be kind of like a hub of information. So the lessons, I think, will always be there. We definitely want to do clinics in the future. We're already moving in that direction, obviously, before the pandemic, as far as like getting space to do that kind of stuff with Lone Star, you know, in Fullerton, California. So getting back into that is going to be cool. But there's also some other ideas as far as like, you know, beyond the service of lessons, but there's some products that we like to get developed as well.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's something that I've been working on for years. Takes time.
I can imagine.
I mean, it's funny, you know, being a musician basically and trying to learn about engineering, software development and things like that. So there's some ideas, they just take time. But like I said, I love that our foundation is education because I know that we'll always be able to offer that. And everything else, you know, that we offer to the community, I also hope that it's like a good quality, like I said, product and good user experience. So got some things in the wheelhouse, just working it out.
Hell yeah. We're looking forward to it. Is there anything you'd like to plug?
I would just say check out the podcast, check out the Rudimental Mindset podcast. Like I said, it's been fun doing that with people, obviously, that I've known over the years, but also some new folk, getting them in the mix. And like I said, I just think it's a cool way to hear about people that are actually in the activity. So yeah, check out Rudimental Mindset and just be on the lookout for, like I said, the things to come.
Yeah. And what's the Instagram handle for them?
It's at Rudimental Mindset.
And then what's your?
So you could find me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't do the social media thing.
All right. So you can do the honors.
All right.
Thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the pastime link for more marching arts content.